What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, you need to hear this because things are absolutely exploding right now at the winter meetings. I'm talking rumors flying everywhere, major signings happening all around us, and the Blue Jays are right in the thick of it all. So buckle up because we've got a lot to cover, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of this. Let me just start by saying the energy around this team right now is completely different than what we've seen in recent years. There's actual movement happening, real conversations, real possibilities. And honestly, it feels like management finally understands that the window is now and they can't afford to waste another season sitting on their hands while everyone else gets better around them. So let's jump right into it because Dylan Cease officially became a Blue Jay, and I've got to tell you, watching that introductory interview was something special. This wasn't some cookie-cutter press conference where a guy shows up, says all the right things, and you can tell he's just going through the motions. No, this was different. You could see it in his eyes, hear it in his voice. Dylan Cease genuinely wanted to be here. He talked about how he knew he could be his best with Toronto, and that's the key phrase right there, his best. Not just good, not just serviceable, but his absolute best version of himself. And if Dylan Cease is at his best, that means this rotation is going to be absolutely filthy. We're talking about a potential top 5 rotation in all of baseball if everything comes together. That's the kind of staff that can carry you deep into October. But here's the thing. The Blue Jays aren't done, not even close. Even with Cease in the fold, they're still actively looking at adding more pitching depth. Brad Keller's name keeps popping up in these conversations, and look, he's not going to be your ace or anything like that, but he's exactly the type of guy you need. A solid, reliable arm who can eat innings and give you quality starts. Think of it as raising the floor of your rotation. Because let's be real, we don't know what we're getting from Ricky Tiedemann after his injury issues. Bowden Francis had a great stretch last year, but can he sustain it over a full season? These are legitimate questions. Having someone like Keller as your 4th or 5th starter, that's how you build depth. That's how you survive the long grind of a 162-game season when injuries inevitably happen. Now, here's where things get really interesting. There's been a ton of smoke around this Japanese slugger, Kazuma Okamoto. I'm talking serious smoke. Multiple reports suggesting the Blue Jays are the front runners to land him. This guy is an absolute monster in Japan, consistently hitting 30-plus home runs. He plays first base and third base, which gives you some positional flexibility. The big question is whether he can adjust to major league pitching, specifically the velocity and the breaking stuff. Japanese hitters have had mixed results making that jump. But when they succeed big. Just look at what Shohei Ohtani has done. Obviously, I'm not comparing Okamoto to Ohtani, but the point is there's legitimate power here. Another right-handed bat in this lineup behind Vlad would be huge. It would give us some much-needed balance and protection throughout the order. Although I've got to mention the Anthony Santander situation because it's getting weird. One day it sounds like he's definitely coming to Toronto. The next day, there are reports he's signing with Philadelphia. Then the Cubs are involved. Then the Yankees. It's all over the place, and nothing seems concrete, which honestly makes me a little nervous because Santander was supposed to be one of our primary targets. He fits perfectly as that middle-of-the-order right-handed power bat. But if that falls through, maybe Okamoto becomes even more important. Maybe that's Plan B becoming Plan A. We'll see how it shakes out, but the uncertainty around Santander is definitely something to monitor closely over these next few days. The bullpen is another massive area of need, and this is where things have gotten really complicated really fast. The Blue Jays were heavily pursuing Edwin Diaz. He was the top closer target, the guy who could come in and immediately stabilize the back end of this bullpen. Well, guess what? The Dodgers swooped in and signed him just like that. He's off the board, and honestly, that stings because Diaz, when healthy, is one of the best closers in baseball. His stuff is electric, and he would have been perfect for what Toronto needs. But he's gone now, and the Blue Jays have to pivot. The good news is there are still options out there. Pete Fairbanks is available, and he's been incredibly effective with Tampa Bay. The guy throws absolute gas and has proven he can handle high-leverage situations. Robert Suarez is another name that makes a lot of sense. He's 35, but he's been dominant for San Diego. Sometimes these veteran arms just know how to get outs regardless of what the radar gun says. Think about what Aroldis Chapman did for multiple teams late in his career. If Suarez can give you 2 solid years, that might be all you need while some of the younger arms in the system develop. The Padres went out and got Mason Miller, so they don't really need to pay Suarez anymore, which creates an opportunity for Toronto. Then there's still the possibility of a trade for Beau Brieske. The Red Sox apparently backed out of those talks, which could put Toronto back at the front of the line. Brieske has been fantastic, and getting him would be a huge win. Whatever happens, the bullpen has to be addressed. You can have the best rotation in baseball, but if you can't hold leads in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, none of it matters. We saw that firsthand last season when games kept slipping away late. Now let me talk about what just happened in the division because it's a big deal. Pete Alonso signed with the Baltimore Orioles, 5 years, $155 million. The Polar Bear is now in the American League East, and that's a problem for everyone else. Look, I'm genuinely happy for Pete Alonso. He seems like a great guy. He's been incredibly consistent, hitting 40 home runs basically every year. He's been healthy. He deserved to get paid. But did I want him in our division? Absolutely not. The Orioles already have a stacked young core with Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holiday coming up. Now you add Alonso's bat to that lineup. They just got significantly more dangerous. And this raises the level of competition across the board, and it means the Blue Jays can't afford to stand pat. They have to match this level of aggression or they're going to get left behind. And speaking of teams making moves, the Mets just lost both Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz in the span of like 48 hours. Steve Cohen opened up the checkbook last offseason, spent a ton of money, and now 2 of his key pieces are gone. You know what that means? The Mets are going to be desperate. They're going to be aggressive. They have unlimited resources, and they're going to start throwing money around to reload. That's bad news for teams like Toronto because suddenly you have another big market team competing for the same free agents and trade targets. Kyle Tucker's name keeps coming up in Blue Jays rumors, but if the Mets decide they want him, that asking price is going to skyrocket. It's going to create bidding wars that might push certain players out of Toronto's range. The Yankees have been weirdly quiet this offseason. They keep claiming they need to be budget conscious, which is hilarious coming from the Yankees. But then other teams like Baltimore are making these massive splashes. The American League East is not getting any easier. Every team is trying to get better, and the Blue Jays can't be the one franchise that just hopes internal development is going to be enough. Hope is not a strategy. So where does this leave us? The Blue Jays have Dylan Cease, which is a fantastic start. They might land Okamoto, which would be a really interesting addition. They still need bullpen help desperately, especially a closer. Now that Diaz is gone, they need to figure out the outfield situation with all the uncertainty around Santander. And Kyle Tucker is still out there as this tantalizing possibility that could transform this entire lineup if they can actually pull it off. The pieces are there for this to be a really special offseason, but they have to close. They have to actually get these deals done. We've seen too many winners where the Blue Jays were connected to everyone and ended up with nobody. The winter meetings wrap up today, and there's still time for more moves to happen. Trades can still go down. Free agents are still making decisions. This is the most critical offseason in years for this organization. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette are entering contract years. George Springer is getting older. The window is right now, and management knows it. That's why they went out and got Cease. That's why they're aggressively pursuing all these other names. They understand that this is it. This is the moment where you either go all in and try to win, or you start thinking about the next competitive window, which nobody wants to do. So that's where we're at. The Blue Jays are active. They're making moves, and there's genuine reason for optimism. But we need to see more. We need that closer. We need that middle of the order bat. We need the depth pieces that are going to carry this team through a long season. Let me know what you think is going to happen. Do you think the Blue Jays can actually pull off landing Kyle Tucker? Who should be the closer target now that Diaz is off the board? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear from you. This is the most exciting Blue Jays offseason we've had in years, and I'm here for all of it. Let's go, Blue Jays.